Hello, hello, and welcome to another session regarding task number 5. It will be dedicated about the Lambda functions once again, and how the Lambda functions can interact with something. How can they interact with Lambda functions? Not only by invoking them with the uh, API gateway, but only invoke them with any kind of events happening in our cloud environment. Let me know, please, if you can hear me, if you can see me, if you can see the presentation, and we will start roughly in a few minutes. Today, I'm planning to show you, to briefly introduce you to the more, let's say, advanced features of the S3 bucket, and also we will talk about the task itself. I will try to show you all the definition of done about this task and all the challenges you may face during making it. Okay, so I think they are good to go. And let me once again introduce myself. So my name is Anton Kostikov, and I'm a systems engineer at the EPAM, and actually I'm a kind of DevOps engineer. So I'm responsible for all the cloud stuff. So provisioning the infrastructure and making sure it's working properly. So let's go ahead and take a look once again at the modules. So we already talked about the cloud itself, talked about the SPA, serverless services at the AWS. Last time we talked about the databases and how can we integrate in our application with the DynamoDB. And today we will talk with you once again about the serverless part of the AWS and how can we manage all of the lambdas we want to use in our application, and how can we invoke them and work with the data we have and want in our application to work with. Move on. Today's agenda is pretty short, so not to waste your time. It's Friday evening. I understand everything. We'll briefly talk about the once again about S3 storage classes, and we try to compare their pricing. Also, we'll talk about the advanced features. As I said, what it means. You can not only store objects inside your S3 bucket, you also can manage the policies for the files, and you can manage how these files located inside your S3 bucket. How can you save some spendings, not to pay so much money just for some files stored in your S3 bucket. So we'll take a look at all of this. And also we'll briefly talk about the hands-on. And as I said, I will try to give you all the definition of done for this task. So you may have what is expected for the one who would check your job, your homework. Okay, so as we already discussed in the second module, S3 have plenty of classes. What does it mean? We can not only store kind of objects inside the S3 bucket, and AWS understand that. So if you're just storing some kind of database backup or some data you want need it for a long time, AWS gives you an opportunity to save on storing this data on your S3 bucket. So you can just, for example, create kind of policy which will move this file from S3 bucket type to another and to another one. So what does it mean? So actually, we will take a look at the pricing in the next slide. So right now, you should just understand what S3 is not only for storing, but also not S3 bucket have some different types of storages for object storing, which is S3 actually is. So, and in this slide, we have intelligent tiering, which helps us to move these files much faster and to save money a bit faster. Also, as we know, the S3 bucket actually not duplicated, but it protected from. Actually, your bucket, the data in your bucket, actually stores on different nodes. So if something happens with one of your node, your data will still be available from another node, so you won't lose it. And it also serves the accessibility of your data. And if you want to save money on it, so you can maybe, for example, use S3 one zone. So in this case, your storage would be stored on only one zone, and you would always will be sure that all of your data is will maybe retrieved much faster. And there is also kind of different types of Glacier storage. Glacier storage is kind of storage where you can store the data which is not constantly relevant. So, for example, you may store backup or some big chunks of your not needed data. So, just to save money. Let's take a look at the pricing. So, just to make sure it's really worth it. So here I want to show you three types of storage. So one is just S3 standard bucket, which you create and whenever you create in the bucket, if you're not going to the advanced options. S3 standard infrequent access. What does it mean? So this is a files. You don't need usually to be accessed. So you may save twice, as I can see. Yeah, it's almost twice on storing this data. And also the Glacier Deep Archive. So in case you storing something in the Glacier Deep Archive, this data would be accessible for you only after 12 hours. So you may store something in this Glacier, but to retrieve this data, you should ask AWS to kind of take your data from the Glacier. And it would take some time, yeah. But still, you would be charged, how much is it? About 20 times less when you're storing your data inside the S3 standard class. Now let's talk a bit about the scope of this task. So what we're going to do, we'll create another deployment at the SDK, using SDK. And in this deployment, we would have in our Amazon API gateway, which would talk with the Lambda function, which would be responsible to go to the S3 bucket and ask for pre-signed URL to make it possible for our front-end application to use this pre-signed URL to upload a file inside the bucket. And then when whenever new object, new file will appear in our bucket, another Lambda will be triggered to process this file. So what should we do? We should just click on the button, so upload the file, and all this magic would happen without us. Now let me share my screen and let's take a closer look at the, Safari, sorry, please bear with me. Just a sec. Where is it? Okay, here we go. As we discussed about the scope of our task. Yeah, here we go. Maybe a bit closer for you. Now you can see it. So at the 5.1, we should just make another repository for our, let's say, second part of the backend. It would be import service. Let me show you how it looks on my end. Visual code. Oh, okay. Still not closed. So where is it? Where is it? Okay, maybe let's open the terminal. So you may see the tree of my application. So it's my project, and I think it's it. So yeah, as you can see, I have the product service, which consists of the data from the third, oh, maybe even from the second, or from the third and fourth part. So about the API gateway, DynamoDB, and 3 Lambda functions, which talks to each other. And now I created one more folder in which I would run all the in there. I would run all the resources, which is in the scope of task number 5. Now let's take a look at them. So actually, they look pretty similar with the one we've created at the last task. So we should just make one more deployment, which consists of the Lambda function, which would be responsible to create a pre-signed URL, another Lambda function to process file we would upload to the S3 bucket, API gateway to make another Lambda function work. And I think also this deployment would be responsible to to create all the necessary policies to another Lambda functions and to another bucket. So first of all, what I've done, I just created the one more S3 bucket, which would be used to store these imported files and process them. And what is expected? First of all, at our front-end side, we have where is it? It's my app. Nope. Okay, let's go to the AWS console. Let me take a look at the URL I have at the CloudFront site. Here we go. My CloudFront. Okay. Yeah, here it is. So now, if we would go to the Manage Products, we have an option to import products with CSV file. What CSV stands for? Actually, it's comma separated values, as easy as it is. Maybe the more advanced type of CSV is XLS, but it's rather about the functions and so on. So about CSV, let me show you the example if you don't familiar with this one. So it's just the values which are separated with the commas, and that's it. Row by row, you may read them and understand what's happening inside, let's say, your item or something like this. So in our application, when we will fully deploy it, would have an option to import the CSV file, and in this case, all the items at this CSV file would be uploaded to our application, to our DynamoDB. So, but right now, it's just it's only about to understand how Lambda works and how can we process the files inside the S3 bucket. So what is expected? So we should just click on the input file, try to upload something, click on the upload, and actually that's it. To make sure everything working from your end, you may go to the AWS console and go to the CloudWatch. And here you may see, here we go, come on. Once again. Okay, let me try to go for the Lambda function then. There's import products file. Okay, here we go. So if we go to the logs, we may see the CloudWatch logs for this function. Okay. looks good. So once I clicked on the upload file, you can make sure what new entry appeared in your logs. And as you may see here, so where is it? I think it's this one. Nope, no, not this one. Yeah, here we go. So as you can see here, it given me it consists not only from the technical logs, but also I printed something inside my function, so I may see what's the data have been processed when my Lambda function is worked. And also you should go to the log group and take a look at another Lambda function, which is responsible to process this file. And it's import. Yeah, import file path. Okay, yeah, here it is. So, and here you may see about during this Lambda duty, it just created a few logs. So it just sent me all the data what have been created inside my files. So to make sure, when you see IDs, product A, B, A, C, description, 312. So, okay, where is this file? I'm sure it's about this one. I don't know why the values are different. Actually, 2345. 2345. Yeah, actually, here we go. Not sure about the second part of this, but we may take a look at the. Okay, I got it. So in the CSV file, there is always should be a header. So it should look like ID when we have the product name. Next one is description. Let's say value and price. So now, yeah, and this header would be like a key in your dictionary in case you are parsing it the same way what I do. So now, if we go ahead and try to upload it once again, CSV file, upload. Now, if we take a look at the another logs, maybe here. What time? Nope. Nope. Let's take a look at the another. 15 should be. Yep. Yeah. So now it looks like this. So we have key and value. And the previous time, the key was the first row, which consists actually from the item. So now let's take a look at the duties of our function. So first one is about inputting the file. Oh, sorry for the mess. I just tried to debug something here. So I should just comment this one, maybe this one as well. So what does it do? Actually, where's the hard-coded part? That's not a good idea, so don't do it. ID only in the troubleshooting purposes. So yeah, here we go. Actually, just taken the event, and inside the event we have the name of the file, which is we are taken from our frontend. Next, we are trying to get the bucket name from the environmental variables, which we are specifying in the stack itself. Then they are creating the key. Key is used to say to the Lambda function in which place we want to store in our file. So in this case, it will be uploaded and the file name which I get from the front-end part. Next, I'm creating the variable name params, which consists of the hash table with the bucket name and key. And next, I'm just generating the pre-signed URL. Actually, to take a look at how it looks like, we can return all back, and I may try to run this function right from here. So here we go. There is the URL, which may be used to upload the file. So you just, to make sure, actually, we can make kind of an experiment. We can go to the import service. Do I have my CSV file in here? Yes, I have. And let's take a look. I already tried, yeah, to make a put. So we should just create the put request and specify the file we want to put and provide it with this URL. And once I click enter, actually that's it. To make sure everything worked fine, we can go back to the CloudWatch once again and take a look at the logs. So it should be 21 minutes. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, here you can see once I uploaded the file at the S3 bucket, it already been processed by another Lambda function. But we will talk about it maybe 1 minute later. So, and actually, what's all this Lambda function doing? It just creating the pre-signed URL, which later may be used for anyone, for any application or any user to upload the file inside the inside the S3 bucket. So once we are done with this part, then our front-end application takes the file we've uploaded to it using this pre-signed URL, and then it just uploads the file right to the S3 bucket, to the uploaded folder. Let's take a look at my S3 bucket. So to make sure I have all of this. So this is the S3 bucket I created. Where is the uploaded folder? But now it's empty. It's empty just because once our front-end application uploaded something in here, and our second Lambda function has been triggered. Let's maybe first take a look at the particular invocation of this function. So take a look at the schema and how it looks like inside the console. File parser. Yeah, here we go. So just some kind of event inside the S3 bucket. In our case, it's the creation of oh yeah, here we go. So whenever any object has been created inside in our S3 bucket, this function would be triggered and would be responsible to process this file. How does it work? Invocation of this Lambda function would be with the parameters. And these parameters we can see inside the okay, here inside the records, there's 3 object key, response body, and here we take in so inside this event would be information from the S3 bucket about which file and where this file been created. Lambda function would take this information and try to process it. So in my case, it would try to take this object from this event, would try to create the CSV object from this file, and then it would try just to read it row by row, which you can see in these 2 strings. So it would just read them and print them inside my Lambda logs. And what's happening next? Next, this Lambda would try to move this file from the uploaded folder to the parsed folder. So just to make sure that no files have been processed more than one time. It's not a good idea. So actually, that's the idea of this function. It just triggers from the S3 bucket event, process the file, and moving this file from one folder to another. And in scope of this task, actually, I think that's it. What else? Nothing here. Yeah, just uploaded. And the definition of that actually would be the CloudWatch logs. So I'm not sure how you may make sure whenever you check in someone's homework, maybe if you can, you may apply kind of screenshot or something like this to your inside your repository to make it visible in the pull request. I don't know actually, or maybe just to trust to someone so everything works fine. Because yeah, actually maybe we may take a look at the front-end application. Let's take a look at the inspect element. Go ahead to the network and try to upload the file. Let's take a look what's happening here. And yeah, maybe it may be the definition of done. So whenever you see what you import, what you have the import and everything happens successfully, so you may see this pre-signed URL right here inside the network part of the development tool. Actually, I think that's it. Maybe only I'd like to suggest you to try to figure out how to run the functions on your local environment, because it's not always the most convenient way to go always to the Lambda console, AWS console inside the Lambdas and try to make and test something in here. Sometimes it's more convenient to work from your VS Code, for example, or any other tool you're using for coding. And as I said, there should be nothing inside your uploaded folder, because usually it consistently your Lambda function should take the file, try to process it, and move it to another folder. Maybe if we have some time, we may take a look about the lifecycle policies. So this is what I said. So in case you have so many files, for example, in any folder, you may ask AWS, not ask, but just create the rule to make the retention of your files. So once the files has been stored in your S3 bucket and had not been touched at all for let's say 90 days, you may move these files to another type of storage, so to pay much less for this one. You may try to use all of these policies. Unfortunately, they won't not be that obvious to see right now, because whenever you're creating policies, you should wait some time to make it work. So in this case, I will create a new one. Let's say retention config to the limited scope, and whenever all of my files were inside the parsed folder, and specify maximum size, expire creation permanently, and delete. Oh, it's not about this one. Move current versions object between storage classes, and then you might find the one you want. So let's say it would be Glacier Deep Archive, and whenever the file is stored in here for okay. Let's say this one that's a transition, and actually that's it. Whenever any file, whenever any file would not be touched for 30 minutes, for 30 days, that would be a trigger for the S3 bucket for AWS to move it from another class, from one class to another. So actually that's it. And also maybe you should be familiar with the versioning of the S3 bucket. So what does versioning mean? Whenever you're deleting the file, you always AWS always prompting you to say, okay, are you sure you want to permanently delete this file? And you also you always should say, okay, permanently delete, to make sure this file is deleted, and you acknowledge that it won't be accessible anymore. So to prevent this kind of issues, you may turn on the bucket versioning. The bucket versioning, okay, yeah, let's choose this one. The bucket versioning actually is about whenever you created a file somewhere, and then you uploaded the file with the same name or just deleted this file, the version of this file would be stored on your S3 bucket. And you always would have an opportunity to, okay, it's loaded. Let's go to the parsed. And whenever you, in the folder you created, okay, not sure if it worked now because this file had been added before the versioning were enabled. So yeah, actually this is how it works. So now I would go ahead to the front end and try to upload another file to make sure everything works fine for me. Here we go, and uploaded, nothing in here, it should be in the parsed. Yep. Show versions. Oh yeah, actually it worked. Yeah, I'm sorry for the disinformation. Yeah, actually it worked. So what do we have now? So we have the file which I tried to delete, and we also have the delete marker. What does it mean? It's free, not just not deleting your file, but it just applies the delete marker on your file. So whenever you want to restore this file, actually, it was just enough to delete the marker. And in this case, whenever we are working at the versioning, okay, I will show you now. Whenever we are working at the versioning mode, the toggle is in here. So show versions, or not show versions. In this case, whenever you're working in the show versions, you would always delete your files and everything permanently. So be aware of it. And if you are toggling this off, so you would just work with the, let's say, files. And in this case, if I just try once again to delete this file, let's say delete, it would be removed from the not version part of my bucket. But whenever I toggle this on, you may see that I already have 3 versions of this file, but one of them is just a delete marker. So whenever I want to restore this or this one, I should just delete the delete marker and then delete, let's say, the most recent version. So the previous one would be the actual one. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, I think it's time. Let me go to this one. Let's say Q&A session. Okay, bunch of questions. Could you please show how to add CSV parser to AWS Lambda? Unfortunately not, because as I know, it's about the TypeScript kind of Lambdas, but in my case, it's just the Python. So for me, it's enough just to import the library, which is usually stored inside like a default library, and that's it. So Ilya, for you, I must suggest to go to the Discord channel and ask someone to help. I think the fellow students would help you. So after inputting file, nothing will change visually in front and up. Okay, no products will be added to the list. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Because right now in our Lambda function, which processes the file is not integrated with anything at all. I think in the further tasks, in the further modules, we will talk about how to create, how to make this, or maybe we would create, I'm not sure actually. But yeah, we would take care about the Lambda functions, not just to process the data, but to put this data inside the DynamoDB to make it visible at the front end side of the application. So actually, this is how it works inside the production environments. Does the bucket need to be created manually? Yeah, in this case, in this task, this bucket should be created manually. So, but you still need to take care for creating the instance of this bucket inside your code to adjust the policies. So in my case, it was like create the instance of S3 bucket, but not create it, but take it from, but take the instance of S3 bucket from the name of this bucket. So, and actually, that's enough to instantiate this S3 bucket and apply the policies to it, and apply the policies to use this S3 bucket from the Lambda side. Something like this. Any more questions? Any suggestions? One, two, three. Okay, so I encourage you to always, if you have any questions or any ideas, to share it inside in our Discord channel. I'm usually trying to look what's happening here and try to help, and fellow students trying to help you. So it's quite a cute and warm community, I would say. I think that's it from my end. Thank you for being here today, and see you on the next week. Yeah, next week I think I would be I would have much more time, and I'll try to run this session much earlier than Friday evening. I know it's not the best idea to run it in this time, but so sorry guys, still have some plenty of tasks to do. Okay, so see you next week. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.